Your hair's looking nice, John. Don't worry, your hair's nice. Right, I'm here with John Proctor, mountain man, climber, ultra runner. Anything else to add to that list?
Do a bit of weight training, conditioning.
So, John, just can we get a bit about your backstory and what kind of drove you towards fitness and kind of, you've told me the story before of how you sort of changed your life around by, moving towards the wilderness. Can you give us your little backstory?
Yeah, sure. I've always been into my fitness for a little bit, really. I think I've always seen it as a way of developing personal strength or just being strong yourself, particularly when I was a young man or a kid, because you had to be strong to survive, physically strong. And I was very lucky to meet people that were into strength and fitness, and that sort of helped shape me and guide me in some respects. So because I always wanted to be fit and strong, and even though, I like to go out for a drink and party, like proper party, it just drags you back, doesn't it? So you're not constantly doing the things that are affecting your health and your well-being. And, and I think they used to say, didn't they, healthy body, healthy mind, but now I think they changed it and it's healthy mind, healthy body. And so I think for me, I always really enjoyed being as fit as I could possibly be, burning as much of the energy as I could consuming. And that started at a really young age, where it was just really bought into it. And it's basically, that's been my priority for my whole life, is to be fit and strong and just push myself as far as I can all the time. Yeah.
Why do you want to do that to yourself? Kind of like, is there a reason you sort of punish yourself or kind of push as hard as you can? What's the reason behind that?
I read a quote last night, actually, which sort of stood out to me. I can't remember who it was, exactly what it said, but it was basically saying that if you've had a sort of traumatic life in various different ways, it basically, you've got that ability to push yourself beyond, what you think you can, and keep going and keep going. And I think that's probably part of it. It's the fact that I don't know, maybe it's the way I was brought up to take sort of, I don't know, pain and all them sort of things that you get punished, dished out when you're a kid. It's a bit, but also, I don't know. I don't know. It's a funny one, but I've always felt that's been my priority above everything else in my life, is always to be fit and strong. And I've never been clever enough to earn lots of money and be a sort of out there manager or whatever. And so this is sort of, I've always been interested in just getting out into the wilderness and just seeing what's around. And I'm a great believer in the human experience. If you're fit, you've got all the use of your functioning body, and we live in a great country like the UK with wonderful scenery, then that's the point in being here for me on this planet, is to get out there. But obviously, to do that, you've got to be fit. And so fitness can start in a gym, and you can really develop your strength and just feel good about yourself. And I think that's it. It don't matter how poor you are, you can always feel good about yourself because you've got some sort of inner strength that comes from training. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the quote, was it the quote I posted? I was just looking for it then. Was it, how long you can run is proportionate to how long you can suffer? If you've overcome great struggles in your life, then you have the mindset to run extraordinarily long distances, and you may not even know it. Was it that quote?
Yeah, I was sort of thinking,
Yeah, it was me that posted it in my story.
No, I thought, bloody hell, you know what? I don't run a really long distance at the moment, and I'm actually right now how fit I can get over these mountains in these distances, which is it's very physical, tiringly mentally. As soon as you set off, you're knackered. But I just love that sort of just real commitment to the long run. But that really resonated with me, because when I was a young man, we did have a tough time. And I've always said that if you look at most athletes, sort of adventure athletes, if you like, there's usually some sort of trauma in the past that pushes them into these extreme locations. I suppose with me, it were young people just, living in quite a brutal environment, really.
Yeah, well, like with me, obviously, I used to get bullied a little bit at school when I was younger. So that made me want to take up, I wanted to box, but there were no boxing gyms where, in Pudsey. So the next best thing were kickboxing. So I did judo when I was 10 for a bit. And then kickboxing, sorry, 16, sort of into my 20s, and obviously then you kind of continue on with I've done MMA and Thai boxing, bits of boxing and stuff as well. But yeah, same sort of thing. I think that the childhood kind of shapes and pushes you, into the, to sports. Like you said, I've not had an easy life, and obviously yourself, you haven't. Traumatic things that have happened. But so basically, we're just lunatics. Is that what it is?
Some people see you as lunatic. I was up on a couple of weeks ago. I was up on Scarfell Pike doing what I call the Lakes leg press, where you try to do 4,000 metres of ascent. Basically, he's running up and down Scarfell Pike 5 times, and it's obviously you pass the same people a couple of times. They're walking up, you're running up down, and they just call you. They're just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I'm like, don't know, maybe, who knows? I mean, people say you're a fitness freak, don't you? But I just go, no, we're just freaks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What distances are you running at the minute? So didn't you recently do that event in Scotland?
It was in North Wales. I did the Snowdon Sky Race, which is 45 kilometres. I think it's about 3,700 metres of ascent, but it's ridge running, rock climbing, scrambling. I wasn't ready for it, to be honest. I hadn't trained properly for it. But I thought I'd give it a go. So, but I've got a lot of determination. I got round it really well, and it's the first one I'm planning on doing the 3 national sky races this year. So, like, really tough sort of mountain courses. But it's the training for them that I really enjoy. Like, I've got one coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm working every day. But like, not last night, the night before, I knew I had to go out and do a mountain range. So I went out and ran the Kentmere Horseshoe, which is like just over 20k after work. It took me like 3.5 hours. So I was at my mate's after beer at 9 o'clock, and you just think, oh, that's amazing. You got to send, that's a 6-8 hour walk for most people. Up in the mountains, it's stunning. So I think once you get into really the high mountain running, it's just really incredible. It's like a journey, not just like physically in your mind, because the minute you set off, it's tough. You've got then the cold and the mist and the navigating, and I love doing it on my own because it's totally committing. And then you get down and look back. It's just it's me. I love it. But it's hard because the distances are so far. You've got to put so much effort into getting fit just to get round, and that's the hard bit, the committing bit. You think sometimes it's doubting it. What else could I be doing with that time? And it's so easy to lose that fitness. If you a month off, you get back to you'd be halfway down the scale from where you started off. It's very difficult. So there's a lot.
Well, I recently had sciatica, and I've gone from running 30 miles pretty easy to struggling on a 10k. I mean, that's probably 12 months I've been knocked out with it. I'm all right now, but I just need to get back on it. But yeah, I did Total Warrior 12k, and I were huffing and puffing a bit, mate, and I was thinking, oh God, what has happened here? Last time I did Total Warrior, I ran it twice back to back. This time I run it once, and I was more knackered running it once than running it twice before. But it's like I said, it's all that hard work. Like, a year of good hard running and running distances really got me. Again, I've run Yorkshire Free Peaks before, and I've done 2 50-mile ultras. And obviously, I know you've been smashing them for years and that. But yeah, I'm back. But I won't run less than 10k, me. Because in my mind, 10k it's not far, so I won't go for a 5k just purely because I'm stubborn and maybe I'm a bit stupid. But I'd rather run and walk 10k than just run a 5k. Rather do the distance.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's got. You know what I mean? So there's this like 0 to 5k thing that people do, but why not just?
Couch to 5k, isn't it?
And do a 10k, walk as much as you need to. Do you know what I mean? And step it up straight away. I think as
a bit of jeffing.
Yeah,
a bit of jeffing. They called it, don't they? Walk and run.
It's just, you don't have to run it all, do you? People say, run it, and I go, I'm more like a shuffler. I call it the shoplifter shuffle. You know what I mean? It's like some drunken shoplifter shuffling around mountains.
Is that what you used to do? Is it?
Yeah, VCR under jacket, so you can't run properly. Let's storm over in Leeds.
So John, all this. So obviously we've talked about your sky running and obviously your ultra running. You're running good distances. What's going on with your climbing? So you go to a climbing depot. Everybody knows you. You're well known in UK for climbing.
One, to be honest, because the climbing, When I was a young man, like in my like 30 years ago, or whatever, I wanted to be an adventure racer. I'd seen these magazines of these faraway locations with these teams running over mountains, canoeing the rivers, cycling, and that's really what I wanted to do. But obviously, I was poor, was living in a squat, bumming about, didn't have anybody, friends who were interested in anything at all to do with anything like that. And I was always into a little bit of running, and I used to hitchhike up to lakes and go hiking over the mountains on my own, bivouac out, get me dole money, I had a little 60-litre rucksack with a bivvy bag. I fucking loved it. I'd do 50 milers over weekends just on my own and bivouac, and then hitchhike back to Leeds, go to Scotland, hitchhike all over doing that. So that was my big dream at the time. But it's very difficult, as we know, to access these sports unless you're living in the right locations or you know the people. And back then there was no internet or anything, and even the kit. You know, when you're on 30, I think the door money was £37 a week. You weren't buying kit. You were down at Navy stores, you know, trying to blag a pair of combat trousers. You know what I mean? But then it didn't matter because you still did this. They still did the stuff. But the rock climbing, because there's lots of local places to do that, and you didn't need much kit. Obviously, you need a bit of climbing kit, and that picked up because I could get a bus to sort of Ilkley or train somewhere, or you could train and cycle, and you'd be at some cliff face, and you could be out, and there was guidebooks, so you could see where to go and what to do. And there were shops where people would tell you information. So you'd go into an outdoor shop in Leeds and there'd be a climbing area, and the guys there would be climbers, and you could talk to them and pick up information. So I ended up just drifted into climbing. I think it was climbing, and I did some qualifications because I wanted to work in that industry as well. So it was like, I can do some qualifications in this, and I can do them on my doorstep, and that'll give me a ticket to work further afield, so I could move away from living in like Hyde Park in the squats and then moving into bed sits and stuff to move into these really beautiful places and working in the outdoors with outdoor folk, which is a real eye opener because you met people that had been travelling and people that had been to far away places, and that then inspired you to do more. And then the climbing, I don't know, I just found that whole, when I got to a point where I could travel and climb, just the places where you go, and just the whole adventure of it, opening up the views and the feeling of being in the mountains, which is, no matter how rich or poor you are, it's all about, I was saying earlier, it's all about your physical and mental strength, and that all put together in that sort of environment, and it's uplifting. You just, you don't need anything. You could live there forever and fuck all. You know what I mean? Just travel about. If you had a supply of cash, you just walk from one place to another doing your thing, and you don't need much apart from like that energy that passion to do it. And
So a lot of people complain saying, "Oh, I can't do this because I don't have any money." But you're a perfect example of, if you really want something bad enough, you'll just you'll go and do it.
I mean, it's sort of interesting now. I've climbed all over the world. Only a couple of years ago, I was in southern Argentina in Patagonia, climbing down there, and I went with another British lad, very wealthy. We turn up Western climbers. We've got everything, all the kit. It wasn't like that 30 years ago. You had a tiny kit because there wasn't much about anyway. And you hooked up with other climbers, and together you'd bring enough kit to do your bits. And you still had some great adventures and lots of fun, and you got in trouble because you didn't have various bits of kit. But it were all misadventure sort of stuff. But when I went down there in South America, there was local climbers that were in that position we were in 30 years ago that have got nothing. There's sewing bits of kit together. The can I buy that off you before you go back to the UK, because they just can't buy it in their country. And they're absolutely out there doing some amazing stuff, and it sort of makes you realise, actually, if you've got a bit of money, spend it actually in the action. You don't need every single piece of kit, and I think. But it's like in UK, we've got these boutique styled outdoor stores that suck you in and think you need to buy everything. We all fall a bit guilty to it.
We like shopping though, don't we? We like buying things in this country.
I sort of worked out of it, that visiting one of the outdoor stores is almost as good as doing the activity. You know what I mean? But yeah, modern climbers now, they've got, in Britain, every climber has every bit of kit almost, and it's it's a subculture, it's a fashion. But what I loved about the climbers, I love the exposure and I love the focus. And you still get that. I was climbing at the weekend with a friend of mine, and we were doing a little bit of a like an orienteering climbing competition thing, which was just a bit of fun. And so we were pushing it, not like at the technical limit, but just trying to get as much done as we could so we could gain these points. And we ended up climbing, and it was absolutely lashing it down, you know, and you lead climbing it there, and like holding on, going, no, like proper grips, and you feel like you're going to fall off in a minute, and your hand cramps, and you can't click down, you're like, fucking hell. And you know what I mean? And it's that feeling's still there, even though you've been climbing 30 years, and you get that on your doorstep. You know, whereas if you want the big runs or whatever, or the massive climb, you've got to go further afield, but you can still do it at a local level, and there's so many more climbers about now as well, so it's really easy to be, if you're a sociable person, you can go. I started treating my local climbing venue as like a local pub. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit in pub 3-4 nights a week after work. I'm going to go to a local crag and meet climbers and chat and talk and get inspiration and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's very...
I think the gyms and the climbing depots and things like that now, I think they are the pubs, aren't they? Not as many people go out to pubs anymore. You know, I think it's probably a wise thing to do anyway. Obviously, going to a pub never ends well, does it? You know, these people that are doing 10 pints every night, you know, 7 days a week for years and years, it never ends well, does it? You know, health is wealth end of the day, isn't it? You know,
all you have to do is look at people my age who have done that, or I went to school with or grew up with, who've all have done is pub it and club it and a few weeks in Spain every year, and they don't look well, do they, in the early 50s?
No. How old are you, John? Just
51.
let everyone know. 51 and still smashing it. That obviously with the age thing, that leads me on to asking you about how is your body with injuries? You know, you're doing extreme things, climbing and running for distance. You know, how are your knees? How's your wrists, your elbows, your fingers? Like, have you got any major injuries?
No,
you know?
but I mean, don't get me wrong. You're going to go through aches and pains. It's as simple as it really are.
Yeah.
And if you think you've just got to not let it slow you down, because if you stop, I mean, fair enough, you might get. I mean, a few weeks ago, I was working at. I do a bit of sort of mountain guiding in the mountains, and I've been working with the Gurkhas in units, and I've done 4 days on the mountain. So I'd already done 4 really good tough mountain days, only like 15k a day, maybe 20, but fast over Old Man. And it come to the Friday, and I had 1 day off. And I was training for the big event in North Wales, and I wanted to do a 35k over at North Wales Mountains because I wanted to get up. I basically wanted to do it, and I knew my body was stressed and tired, and I thought, you know what, I shouldn't be doing it. But I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, drove to North Wales, and I got about 25k in, and both my knees started proper giving me some shit, and I was just like, oh, what have I fucking done here? And like a muppet, I just carried on, did the whole thing. And then I just thought afterwards, my knees were crying, man. And I thought, oh, my knees are creaking. I've not had knee pain for years. I thought, oh, this is it. And so I just do what you normally do, which is really cool these days. You go on YouTube and you think, right, how can I get rid of this? And you talk to folk that you know, and I worked out hot water bottle, ice pack. And I just did that for 6-7 days. Sorted out, no problem. Smashed the 45k when it came up. In fact, I thought my knees were going to be the issue on the 45k. I was a little bit worried about it. It was cramp. So, you know, I got a load of cramp, like really bad, cramping bloody all over the place. My legs were haggard. I finished the race. I thought, right, how can I get rid of cramp? Being on YouTube. How to get rid of cramp as an old man? So,
Drink some water. Get your salt up.
Your body, innit? You know, like you say, how many minutes now my body's just it's changed a lot from when I was in my sort of 19, 20, whatever. Muscle mass changes, the way that you feed it, the way that it takes nutrient, and I think that's the big thing that I've learned is I am getting old. I do need a bit more rest, but what I need to do is start taking on board the science that backs up the supplements. So like magnesium, zinc, potassium. You know, I take branched chain amino acids. I do beta-alanine. Do you know what I mean? And it allows me to, because I've got a physical job as well. I'm always out on the mountain climbing and guiding folk. Yeah. This weekend I'm canyoning. I'm going to be jumping into canyons all weekend. I've just had 4 days climbing. Next week I'm in canyon. I've got 8 sessions in canyon next week, so it's full on work. But what I've learned now is that you work with the supplements and take them on board, and it allows you to recover and get up the next day feeling strong. And I feel now I'm actually getting stronger in my 50s, especially with the running. I'm getting faster, breaking because I'm set. I'm breaking personal records all the time on my running. It's really, it's sort of motivating me even more because I think, wow, it's fucking ace, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So do you think is your general food better as well? Do you think you're just looking a little bit more at nutrition as well
I
as
started looking at
supplements?
nutrition when I got to 40. When I got in my late 30s, I was eating anything you could get your hands on. A lot of cooked breakfast. I'm not a cereal toasty type person. I'm a full-on
Yeah.
English breakfast every day type guy. Back then I was. Obviously working in
Yeah.
outdoor centres, quite often that's on the menu anyway.
But you're burning ridiculous calories, aren't you? Because you're out all day on
Yeah,
mountains or, in and out of cold water and that. You're going to need a lot of
yeah, and I've
calories,
also
aren't you?
learned that's something that you need to do. You've got to burn your calories. There's no point in going to burn it, and that's every step. Your glycogen, everything. I like reading about sort of ancestry of other human beings. I read this thing about the Victorians that they burned so much energy in their day-to-day lives and they didn't eat any crap. There's no processed food really then. They
No,
were some
yeah.
of the fittest, strongest people that have ever lived in Britain. So I've always like burn it. Yeah, I do burn a lot of calories, but what I did is I started. I went into the paleo thing. To be honest, when I got to 40, I went for the fresh meat, fresh fish, fruit and vegetables, and that's what I still do. That's my main diet now. This morning I've had
Yeah.
roasted smoked mackerel with mushrooms, garlic, and I had blueberries. I started putting a bit of MCT oil in my coffees to keep them ketones in as well. It helps with the old brain. So there's loads of good information. I mean, yeah, obviously I went out last night about 5 or 6 pints. You know what I mean? And it's just
Yeah, because end of the day, mate, even if you're training hard, nobody likes to be a boring bastard, do they? Let's face it.
work, work with so many people that are weighing the food, weighing the breakfast. So they're always ill. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But I
Yeah.
would say to people,
Yeah.
especially as you get older, diet is really important. Keeping them nutrients coming in, good nutrients, fruit and vegetables, that sort of thing. But
Rest as well. You mentioned
yeah, when
rest.
you need it, get your head down.
Do you rest though? Because I don't think you
I do a
probably
little bit.
do.
Well, I actually find certain aspects of training motivation really difficult at the moment. For me, it's not the training that I find out; it's the motivation sometimes. So, like when I was, only up until a few years ago, I could do like 3 big sessions a day. I could go out and do a 15K, come home, go to the gym, do some indoor climbing for 3 or 4 hours, then come home and just pump a load of iron and do a load of circuits. And now I find that really difficult. But just the motivation behind it. I don't know if that's the consequence of these lockdowns. Like big four,
Yeah. Mm.
stay in your house, and which I found really difficult to be honest. But I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
sure everybody in the country did.
Yeah. I did as well. It's because you want to go and have adventures, don't you? You want to be off in mountains or just not being in your house. I suppose now we're out and about and that and staying in your house, you're like, nah, let's get out of here, let's do something.
Let's not go
Yeah.
rabbit hole. But so now, yeah, I do. And sometimes, like now, especially in summer, normally in summer I make every minute of every day count. Sometimes now I'll just come home and put TV on, and I might come home at mid-afternoon some days and just lay in bed for an hour, watch a bit of crap, and then get up and do something. And I do try to make that a little bit more rest time. Might only be an hour or two here and there. Do you know what I mean? But in summer particularly, I like to fill every day with everything because you can do so much.
Yeah.
Gets light at 5, don't get dark while 10. You can be outside all that time, can't you?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So with your bouldering and your running, and I know you go up to Porky's, don't you, and train up
I
there
used to.
sometimes.
I don't go there anymore now. I've got a gym at home because I just.
Right. So training at home. Have you sort of trained your style of lifting weights, sort of climbing versus your running? Have you changed the way you're training? How do you train with your weights? Are you doing circuit style training? Are you doing bodybuilding routine? What's your little go-to sessions for these
I'm a
things?
purely conditioning person now. I think once you get into your 40s, I used to lift weights all the time, especially in my 20s and 30s. I was really into pumping iron a couple of times a week, but I'd do a full body workout. I was never a sort of backs and arms one day, them sort of type.
Yeah.
But I push myself to the limit lifting weights because it's so easy to doing it. You get to the gym, you just need someone to spot you, and you can really work out and build that muscle. I remember your muscle, it takes a long time to build. You've got to work really hard, and it's an awesome sort of organ to have in your body. In it looks after you the more muscle you've got, the better the better physically you are. The more
and for your health, there's, obviously we're not talking steroids, 2018, 16 stone. We're talking natural muscle.
You'll never beat the weight. So what's the point in jacking them up? You know what I mean? The weight, you can push yourself just hard. And steroids is it's like psychological, isn't it? I've seen it all. You've seen it, same as me. You see people jacking up on roids, and then next thing, they're off the program. The roids wear out, the muscle shrinks, the weight drops back down, and then they've got this big psychological problem, haven't they? Whereas if pushing it, a little tiny gain, you might put half a kg on the side of your bench, and you go, oh, get it up, boom. But the muscle mass, my weights now is just pure reps, lots of high reps, so that I pump the blood around my muscle mass. I'd love to do a bit more training for my legs. I'd love to do more, but I just don't have time. So I do my conditioning now is TRX, planks, sit-ups, pull-ups, fingertips, stuff like that, clean and press, just sort of body weight stuff.
Bench press?
Yeah. Benching, yeah, definitely bench, yeah.
Staple for us men, benching, dumbbell pressing.
Same again, bench press. I'm doing 3 sets of 25, 30 reps rather than just try to go heavy.
Yeah, so more rep work now as obviously you're getting older.
Blood flow, get that proper blood flow about your body. Your tendons, ligaments, they really need that. And it's just, I've got a little bench now as well. I've got some weights, some free weights. I really like the TRX. Fantastic for your shoulders, keep them conditioned, and for your core. And I work a lot more on my core and your back, doing sort of pull-ups. I do sets of pull-ups, fingertip dead hangs, stuff like that. And then as the winter comes, I'll transfer into training like that, but using ice axes for the winter climbing. You know what I mean? So just sort of I focus it on climbing, and the core obviously is so important for every sport, isn't it? Try and do a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Crunches, that sort of thing. So I've got a really good sort of circuit that I do at home. It takes me about 2 hours. And it incorporates all those things, really. I try that twice a week, but it's very rare, maybe once a week if I'm lucky.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer ice climbing or your normal climbing, or both?
Night mountain, in it. The winter in you've got to be lucky in winter to get the conditions and to be with the right person. But it's magical, yeah. If you go out to the mountains and you get some massive ice falls and you're on form and you're climbing well with a good friend, the winter. I love the winter environment. It's brutally harsh but stunning. And then it's the same in the summer, innit? You get up into the mountains, or anyway, you go to local crag on any evening up at Armscliff near Otley, and it's busy on a summer's evening. It's just as much fun, and I quite enjoy. I push myself through all the sort of routes, and the quite tough routes and stuff. And so it's like nice now to watch other people doing that. I was watching this young lass the other day on one of the hard routes up at Armscliff taking big whippers. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like it's like exciting. You're like, come on, And so it's nice. Yeah, it's great. It's just great to get out and be part of the scene.
I think as you get older, it is nice to pass on your knowledge and your wisdom. Like I obviously work with a lot of students with Leeds Building College, and showing them how to lift weights and stuff. It's I think it's your duty as a man to pass that wisdom on to the younger generations, or as a woman as well. I'm not sexist, but pass your wisdom on.
We won't know anything, would it, without people showing us?
No, exactly. Yeah, and I wish. Do you know what? I wish when I was 15 that I had someone to show me and teach me things. Like again, you'll be same. You make so many mistakes, but again, back then we didn't have the internet. Couldn't Google bodybuilding routines. We just basically had to pick up what we could. Flex magazine, which obviously gives you a different routine every week. So you're like, well, this guy does this and this guy does this, and obviously you don't realise it's to sell magazines because they can't put the same routine in week on week. No one's going to buy it either. So they just put bullshit in it to pad it out to get you to buy it every week, every month or whatever.
The gyms weren't there when we were brother. Fitness. No. I can remember being 15, 16, 17, and even in my early 20s, and I was well ripped. Since you got this fantastic little gym, and I was really ripped. And you'd go to your mate's house for a barbecue in summer, and people thought you were a freak. No, you were a gym freak. And you'd be like, yep, I am. You know what I mean? And you'd be like, you're a fat knacker. You know what I mean? There's a bit of bounce like that. And then I think it was that ITV show, The Gladiators.
Oh, I wanted to be on that so bad. It was my favourite programme. I
There you
loved
go,
it, man.
yeah, man.
Oh, like, when I'm older, I'm going to be on
That
that.
was like,
But it finished before I got a chance to kind of
I think
audition
that
for
was
it.
a really big changing point in particularly men's attitudes to training, because it's all of a sudden it's trendy to be super strong and an athlete, innit? I thought that was
Yeah,
a big change, and gyms just boosted up everywhere after that. But I also blame it on the
yeah,
steroid problem, because it's all kept up,
yeah.
they weren't natural.
Well, it's massive at minute, innit? There's a lot of like 18, 19-year-old lads struggling to get an erection because they've just screwed the body up through taking gear because they're seeing all these big guys. And again, everything's fast food, fast love these days. It's fast everything. They don't want to spend the time building the muscle, and they want it today. Unfortunately.
You've got to go to a gym. You're very lucky to go to a gym where they don't. That makes sense. And I was lucky when I first started training properly in a gym. The guy wouldn't entertain steroids at all. He was totally anti-steroid. He wanted everybody to be natural. And he took a real personal interest in your strength rather than just sitting behind a desk. And I think, when you go over gyms, I've seen guys jacking up in toilets, sticking needles in the backsides, and like putting them in their arms and lot. You know what I mean? And I've researched a lot of it, to be honest. And at one point in my life, I was looking at the stuff that Lance Armstrong and all that lot were on, to think, would this work for me? And I researched it all.
EPO, is it called?
Yeah.
It gives them more endurance or something, doesn't it?
More endurance. I was doing sort of alpine climbing at the time, so I'd be training for the big alpine routes. So you get a chance to go to the Alps every year, and then you go and do the alpine stuff. It's like you're out, you're on your feet for a couple of days at a time with very little food, and it's all about stamina and endurance and fitness, mental fitness. So I was like, oh, how can I get fitter? How can I get fitter? And I'd always research. People in the gym would say, take this, do that. You go away and research it and think, fuck that. When you look at it, the side effects, especially the growth hormone, and there's always a natural alternative. Yeah, I never.
I think this is a thing you learn as you've been about and you've been in the gyms and you've seen it all and done it all or whatever. But everyone, you got people telling you what to do who haven't actually got a clue. You got to go to an expert.
Well, you've got to do your own research. It's all out there now, isn't it? There's some fantastic stuff on the internet these days, and YouTube's amazing for just everything, innit? And there's people putting the point across, and you've got to just research it, do your own research. There's so
information overload, though. I think that's the thing at the minute. It's too much information, and people don't know where to start. But like I say to people, imperfect action is still action. So just take some action. The journey of 1,000 steps starts with one step. So you just got to get going, haven't you? Just take the action.
Got to get out there, and that's the main thing. You'll probably get it in your gym, don't you? People, I just need someone to help me start this, and I get messages from people sometimes. I really want to get into this. You need to help me. And I'm like, no, I'm not helping you, mate. You get on it yourself. I'm not here to, guide you. I'll talk to you, but you've got to get out. It's so easy now to do it. There's loads of clubs online you can join, meet-up groups everywhere to do all the different. So it's not like it was years ago, where you had to join, a proper club and mix with all club people. But Bramley, where we live, in the 90s, had one of the best fell running clubs in the country. Bramley, and they won the British Championships for the Bramley and Pudsey Fell Runners, and that's like travelling all over the country and running in.
Why do you think that was? Because obviously it's not like we've got massive mountains. I mean, we've got Post Hill.
Exactly. It's amazing, isn't it, when you think about it. Really good book come out recently called Louder Faster. It's about a fell running champion who lived in Hyde Park in Squats a similar time to when I lived down there in Squats. But he was like an anarchist punk type, but he was into his running, and he sort of joined the Bramley and Pudsey team because they were really wild. They like to go out and just run in the mountains, but then get sozzled and have a massive party afterwards. And a really cool story, and they were so committed to the running. They trained super hard, and then they'd go off to like Ben Nevis and do the Ben Nevis fell race and come like first, second, third, all that sort of thing. And he ended up winning the British Championship, and the club itself won the British Club Championships. And you think, well, yeah, that's amazing. But I mean, these clubs now, they're not as wild anymore. I don't know what's happened to them. Some of them, they're just not wild at all, actually. You sort of think they've lost that party, they've lost that fun. A little bit So clubs
Yeah.
are a little bit like that, but there's still a lot to do.
I think, I think that's a good thing with you, John. Obviously, because we use you for our little trips. When we do as gorge jumping and stuff like that. Is that even though like you're very professional and all the safety's put in place, you still make it about the fun. It's like you're not too like strict and like too anal. You're just like, let's get out, let's have fun with it. You don't care if there's 2 people or 20 people. Well, let's go, let's have a laugh.
I think most people that you meet want that experience. It wants to be fun. It's not safe.
Yeah,
And that's I like delivering fun adventure, but high end. I like calling it adventure trauma. You know what I mean? Like you think for the normal folk who's day to day lives, commuting into work in an office, whatever, they're
yeah,
sort of coming out. They're not quite sure. Especially with some of the canyoning stuff that we've done, it's super fun, isn't it? I did a job of a week actually for 7 lasses who were on I think it was a 40th birthday, and we did a canyoning trip. And they were ace, man. We just giggled and screamed all the way down, and then end of it, there was a lass who was an agent. She said, "Thank you for showing me how to enjoy my life." Do you know what I mean? And that sort of buzz that
yeah,
you get back, but it's just like, yeah, I think people are coming out of the way to hire you. You've got to make it fun. That's what.
yeah. Well, that's it. Innit? Life's about adventures, like get out there and do stuff. There's so many people look at my Instagram, and obviously we do the trips with you, and then if I'm doing 3 peaks or some mountain or bit of paddle boarding, kayaking, whatever it is, I try and do as much stuff as I can that people are like, oh, I love doing your stuff. There was one lass actually. She messaged. She were like, she always posts stuff up about the outdoors and mountains, and I just messaged her because we talk now and then. I says, you're always posting other people's videos and pictures up. Why don't you go and do it yourself? And then about 6 months later, she messaged me and she says, thank you. I took on what you said. And obviously I'd noticed she started going off and walking mountains and camping, wild camping and swimming in rivers and stuff like that. And I just think the thought never actually crossed her mind that she could do it. And I think that's why it's good to have someone like myself and obviously you. We just tech people and just push them, like even Total Warrior. A lot of people that come to my gym would never in a million years do that without me saying, you're doing it. They're just like, I can't do it. You can. I can't. Can you walk 12K? Yeah, right. Well, you can do Total Warrior. Let's go. You're doing it. Sign up for it. I'll hold your hand round. And I don't. I'd shove them over obstacles. Right, come on, let's go. Throw mud at them.
Well, I'd love to have a gym. My dream job would be to own my own gym that was based on outdoor fitness and challenges. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could sort of just maybe on outskirts of Leeds, but where people come and out, physically push them, like build them up strength wise. I'm working a lot with military at the moment, doing the sort of adventure training for the recruits. It's just ace, they turn up these young people, and they're from all over the world. These young soldiers, and and they're just like so on it. They want to run in the mountains, they want to climb as hard as they can, and they listen to what you're telling them to do. And it's just great to see young people really fit and strong and focused. And I'd love to do a permanent job like that. I mean, I'm lucky anyway in my work, I suppose. Like, I get around a lot and work with lots of different people. But my big dream when I was younger was to run a gym, a proper gym with weights, and give not just the outdoor experience, but the conditioning and the fitness. I'd love to have done that over.
I think most men into fitness always want to own their own gym, don't they? I've never any guy who does weight training or goes to a gym. I've never heard one say they wouldn't want their own gym.
Yeah, it's good, but maybe one day when I get too old to run out mountains, I'm trying to get into a bit of guided running at the moment. Actually, then that's my next thing really. I've done all the walking and the skills courses and the sort of climbing and stuff like that. But
what's guided running like? Taking people on mountain runs and stuff.
Bit of the sky running stuff, because it involves sort of soloing the easy rock climbs and running the sort of really sort of narrow ridges, like the Crib Gock sort of type stuff. So it just teaches people like balance and agility and giving them confidence to stand up straight in the exposure. Descending. How do you descend fast over really rough terrain? Talk about how you stay strong on a long run. Using your sort of posture and your glutes, and so that's something I'm probably going to try and develop over the next year or two. Yeah, that's where just try to do a bit of that. And that book that I wrote, Mapping the Mind, that art of sky running. I'm hoping actually with this it's in its second phase of development now, if you like. It's been out there, and the Sky runners are picking it up. I'm getting feedback.
Yeah.
Got some good feedback off a young lady this morning who's going to Wales to do one at runs, and it's brilliant. She's really looking forward to it. And what I'm going to try and do with that next is develop a website that's sponsored by a outdoor company, and then try and encourage people to buy the book, do the runs, log them on the website, and hopefully if we can get a company to back me, we'll be giving out awards, sort of like as packs of kit, like running vests and trainers and stuff like that, and just to sort of make it free to sign up. You just need to buy the book, and then it's up to you if you go out and commit to a run, and you log it, and you might win a pack of kit. Do you know what I mean? So I like that idea that it's free, it's accessible. There's intro, mid, and ultras, so everyone can have a go. And then, so that's my next phase of it, really. Yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do.
Yeah. Well, I'll attach obviously any links that you send me. I'll put in the comment section under this. So obviously your books and that. So obviously you got the Sky Running book. What's it called?
Mapping the Mind, the Art of Sky Running UK.
Right. And what's your other book called?
My other book is I forgot though. It's called Child of Time: Sanctuary in the Extreme. So that's like it's like a memoirs. It's really sort of story of like sort of growing up in the cities type thing. The sort of back in the sort of 70s, 80s. Not too much in depth, but it's a little bit of a sort of that sort of moving away from the inner city sort of life of smashing ecstasy and going clubbing and dropping LSD, all that sort of, a bit of criminality. It was sort of quite a bit of brutality and the violence that we were sort of involved with, and then just drifting away from that into the sort of sanctuary of the mountains, if you like. So being extreme, I didn't sort of realise, because you just go through life, you don't really think much about your situation. And then I started working with some people. I was working with some young people in the inner cities, and I met some folk from Eastern Europe, and they were like, "God, there's so much violence around here, isn't there?" And I was like, "Really?" And it's like, "Yeah, we've never seen out like it." And I was like, "This is just normal for us, This is how it is around here." And they these people come from quite what we class as poor parts of Eastern Europe, and they were, "No, this is very unusual." And it made me realise actually that I used to sort of be part of this sort of scene in a city, sort of the hard. I wasn't the hard man, but you'd look up to the violent hard man, or the bullies everywhere, and it was like violence, drugs, and crime. And I thought, you know what? When I thought about it, it made sense. I was within that sort of system, and that was our sanctuary. We were sort of tight knit group of people. We never really stepped out into no normal lifestyle. And then I'd realised actually through time, my new sanctuary had become the extremes of nature. Huge rock faces and ice climbed and all this like wilderness. And that's where the book comes from, Sanctuary in the Extreme, Child of Time. Yeah. So it's a story of like how I've drifted through that sort of life into the mountains, and but sort of spiritual experiences, and a lot of it like taken on by taking like magic mushrooms, LSD. So a lot of stuff about tripping and what that sort of everlasting experience gives you.
It's funny, them things you sort of mentioned now, it's quite a popular thing at the minute. So a lot of people are drifting from the cities and wanting to, Instagram now, God, everyone goes up mountains and goes and gets in nature, but also obviously everyone's on this spiritual journey, and people are starting to take magic mushrooms, like it's like everything that's going on now, you probably did 20, 30 years ago.
I understand it, and it's what shapes me, and it's really happy it's happening, because for years it was so taboo. You couldn't speak about these experiences because people, be like, "Oh, is a druggie? Oh, is this that?" No, they didn't see the positives to it. There is a lot of sites as well. Now where the sort of spiritual aspects of having these experiences is actually recognised, and it's actually a form of treatment for people, isn't it? People with post-traumatic stress, things where people have died suddenly, or you've got mental illness yourself that needs sorting out. And there's a lot of studies now that say, taking these natural hallucinogenics can reset your mind, open it up to wider experiences, and help you understand that you're just here for this life. Do you know what I mean? That's what shaped me, mate, big time.
Yeah. There's ayahuasca as well, isn't there? A lot of people. I mean, Dorian Yates, perfect example. He did that. They do.
Have you seen it? Mike Tyson, he did ayahuasca.
Oh yeah.
Look at him, mate. Proper violent life, and he's age when you listen to him talk. And loads of ex-soldiers, come back from these war zones with trauma. Now they're getting treated with sort of hallucinogenic type stuff, but obviously micro-dosing. So it's
Yeah.
good, actually. And I think it's all this World Wide Web thing, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, obviously, they've used hallucinogens for thousands of years. I was watching a program, and apparently at Templar Knights, when they inducted you into their obviously fraternity or whatever you call it, society, they used to use magic mushrooms as part of the like an induction ceremony as well. And
I think a
obviously,
lot of warrior nations used to do that, didn't they, with the old fly
yeah,
Gaelic sort of stuff.
Vikings, berserkers, they used to. Yeah, Vikings, berserkers, they used to get off the red on mushrooms or whatever and running.
Well, it was sort of religion that knocked it all on head, wasn't it? When it came down, they just sort of just smashed all these sort of former beliefs and sort of make us all bow down to the Lord, give us your money.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. Yeah, there's so much going on now for young people. It's an ace time to be alive, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a very interesting time to be alive, mate. There's a lot going on, yeah, but I think, I kind of sometimes you just got to keep your head down, aren't you, and just stay focused on what you want to do, what you want to achieve. Again, with everything that's going on, it goes without saying, health is wealth. You know, look after your health first. Yeah. Have you got any? How do you keep motivated, John? Have you got any tips on how for people? Because again, we know motivation's bullshit. You know, sometimes you don't want to go to the gym, but you go to the gym, and once you've done that workout, you don't regret going. The hardest thing is stepping out of the door. Have you got any kind of mind tricks or anything you use if you're a little bit like, I can't be bothered to do this? Have you got anything you say to yourself or, you know, tell yourself to make you do it?
For me, I like to have epic things in my diary. So I like to have big events that I can aim for that basically push me. So commit to something, you know, whatever it is you want to do with your life. It could be, you know, a long distance walk, or, you know, if you want to go on a long distance backpacking trip, which is cheap to do, you can do a 2-week trek across the Scottish Islands. So you'd have to condition yourself for that hike by walking each day with a rucksack on, a little bit of weight, you know what I mean? Yeah. So something that you build up to, and I do that with everything, really. That's how I work it. And, you know, now I'm thinking I've got 2 weeks off at the end of August. I want to get back into climbing a little bit. I'm thinking about maybe I'll go to Alps and climb a big wall, or to Norway, somewhere I've not been before. So I'll have to start pushing myself climbing a little bit more now, which I've been doing a bit more climbing recently than running. Spent weekend climbing with a friend, just really getting back into it. And I've got to make that choice now. Do I go climbing? Do I go running? I can't do both at both levels because I ain't got time or the money. So yeah, like I've got this sky racing lake. It's called Pinnacle Extreme. It's only 27k, but it's a massive amount of ascent. It's an absolutely brutal course, and that's what I'm training for at the moment. And that's why I ran overnight after work. And that. So yeah, I would say to just get something that you want to do. You know, look about, find something that you think is going to be a bit of a challenge, and just work towards it. And try and work yourself towards it properly. So if you're going to go hiking, like I just said, with a rucksack on your back, you're going to have to condition your legs. So you're going to just have to go to the gym a couple of times a week, get yourself like a leg workout routine. You know what I mean? And you're going to have to do little mini hikes with rucksacks, and maybe even camp out wild so you can use your stove and get little things like that. So you've got a big epic adventure coming up. You have lots of little epic adventures on your doorsteps to get ready for it and push yourself into it that way. Yeah. And
so again, it goes back to like all trainers use this, and it's a powerful tool that I do. And, you know, I mentioned signing people up to Total Warrior. Like, again, for people, sign up to an event. It keeps you training. Motivation's not going to last forever. You might be motivated this month, next month. When it's pissing it down outside or snowing and it's icy, you're not going to train unless you've got something to train for. You know, so again, it's the common theme with all fitness people who keep active for years and years and years. It's that we attach, you know, as training to an event, to goals. You know, that's the only thing that's going to keep you moving forwards, isn't it, really? Otherwise, why training for the sake of training just for health isn't always enough. So let's sign up to an event and do it for charity, do some good, you know, get the good out there in the world,
when I was a young man, and there were certain people, certain folk that I thought were after me, you know, they wanted to do me harm. I'd just draw a picture of them and stick them on a punch bag. Do you know what I mean? And that was my motivation. So, you know, if someone's stressing you out at work, just go to the gym and burn that anger. Just think of that person. You're making yourself strong to combat that. Do you know what I mean? And that's how
Or what you could do is pretend you like them, befriend them, and ask them if they want to go boxing with you. and then batter them in ring.
Yeah, I remember working at this high school with this deputy head teacher. Nobody hated, and I was like, let's get them on one of them. Then when you go shooting plastic bullet type things and paintballing, let's get a paintball and then we can just all chase after and shoot and sort of stuff. But yeah, when I was younger, there was some seriously nutty, violent people after me, and I literally I'd have like a coal cellar with a punch bag with this guy's face on it, and that was my motivation, because I thought if they get hold of me, they're really going to hurt me, and it just made me train harder than I but it made me feel good as well.
But John, you survived it. You're still here to tell your tales.
Yeah, and you learn from it. And like you've just said, to be honest, the best way is to be really friendly with everybody in it and shake hands. You know what I mean? And try and help each other. So,
yeah, that's the way forwards. Be nice to people. Be kind. And do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do.
Be courteous and have good manners. It don't cost anything, does it?
Yeah, but that's one good thing about the mountains and being out there, is that you can say good morning to people on the mountain. Every single person will say good morning back to you. Whereas if you go on canal down Bramley, say good morning, they look at you like you've nicked their handbag or that you've stolen something off of them.
You get that weird look off people. I like smiling, see what happens.
I do. I'm always nice to everybody. Just, and if I see them and they don't say good morning, I wait till I see them again and just keep saying good morning till they say good morning back. Kill them with kindness, John. That's what we like to do.
Smile on your face. It don't cost much, does it? And, and if you get to the gym, just chat to people. Do you know what I mean? And make friends, and then you feel part of community, don't you?
Exactly,
if you want to get into bouldering, running, whatever, go to a park run, make some friends, and just get out.
Yeah.
Life's short. Don't come to you, does it? You've got to go after it.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Well, listen, John, I could sit and speak to you forever and ever, because you're a very interesting man. You've always got good stories to tell. But we will leave it there.
I'll have to get off, cook some dinner and all that sort of thing. So
I'll put all your links in the video description, and obviously how people can contact you. So if people want to do some outdoor events, outdoor challenges, obviously they can get in touch with you over that. Obviously, if they're interested in your books, I'll bang up the links below so they can check your books out. Have you got a website or anything or anywhere?
Really Big Friend Academy. Yeah,
Big Friend Academy on Instagram.
Yeah, if you've got Instagram, I like to use that as a sort of medium to promote outdoor life, fitness, that sort of thing. And so I sort of post on that virtually every time I do something, and just imagery really, and a sort of little post about what I'm up to. So but that's if someone you want to get in touch with me, just get in touch with me through that. That'd be cool. And, appreciate
perfect.
Good chatting.
Right, mate. Nice to speak to you as usual, and I'll catch you later. Take care, buddy. Bye, mate.